Welcome everyone to another session of TriTech University. My name is Bill Steppen, and today we are going to be taking a look at, if I can get my screen to broadcast here, the report designer, the custom report designer here. Regarding how to go in and set up your own custom reports in AIM SQL version 12. Now, I've decided to break this up into a two-part webinar where today we're going to be just doing this a little bit kind of piecemeal. We're going to start off by going through how to connect your report designer to your AIM SQL database, and then we'll take a look at how you can start thinking about choosing which table you're going to be using to generate your reports. And then on Thursday, we'll reconvene and we'll take a look at maybe going through setting up a sample design, looking at some layout functions, and kind of looking at how to actually run these reports. Now, my thought behind this is between now and then, this should give everyone who's attending here an opportunity to try connecting their databases themselves and think about maybe some potential reports that you would like to build. What I want to do is I want to extend an invitation to everyone who's attending today that is also registered for Thursday's webinar. If you have an idea of a report that you would like to see me try and build for you to kind of witness, to go through kind of like a sample run, reach out to me via email. Just go ahead and send an email to my email address. If you don't already have it, it's training@technology4retailers.com, and hit me up with some ideas, hopefully by the end of the day or by midday tomorrow, if at all possible. So that gives me some time to contemplate if there's any possibles for me to take a look at that we can explore together. If not a big deal. I have a couple of ideas. The hardest part with a report designer as flexible as the Telerik Report Designer and as all-encompassing as AIM SQL can be is just thinking about not only what you want to report on, but then how it should look. What data should be displayed? How should it be columnized? What should be the sorts and the filters? So having some idea in your mind's eye of what that can look like is really more than half the battle. And then, like I said, we'll try and explore that together. Now, actually, just to let everyone know, this is being recorded. So Michelle is asking, can this be recorded to watch later? Yes, it is being recorded, Michelle. All of our webinars are recorded so that you can check them out at a later time. So no big deal. If you have to cut out now, you'll get an email, as will everyone here, with the link to the recording. So not a big deal at all. I'm happy that I was able to let you know that since it sounds like you're going to have to cut out here. But that being said, I'm sure a number of you have attended these in the past. If not, on your screen, there is a GoToWebinar control panel. Now, on that control panel, there is a questions box. So at any point, if you do have a question, definitely go ahead and type it in there. You'll be seeing me checking over here periodically just to see if there are any questions coming in. And I'll do my best to answer those as quickly as I can. That being said, if that control panel is taking up too much screen real estate, there's going to be a little orange button with a white arrow. Feel free to click that, and that'll shrink it down off to the side. So I don't envision us taking the full hour today. I probably am thinking half an hour, 40 minutes at the most. Not a big deal really as far as the time is concerned, but just so that everyone can kind of plan that out. We might take a full hour on Thursday just to make sure everything makes sense as far as like the actual building of a report. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have available. So in version 12, as you're probably aware now, if everyone who's been attending this has been kind of waiting with bated breath on this particular webinar, underneath the reports menu, you have your custom reporting and you have your report designer. Now, basically, the report designer, I actually already have it open here so that I could have it kind of properly sized. Let me go ahead and pull that up, and then we'll switch my view to that so that we can take a look at it together here. So, as soon as this switches over here, sometimes it seems like GoToWebinar has been giving me a lot of grief today. There we go. All right, so when you first go into that report designer, it'll pop up and it'll probably say something along the lines of what you would see here, this basic screen where it would be asking you to either generate a new report or open an existing report. Now, when you go to do a new report, you have all these different options. Right now, you'll be looking at the blank report. I have not actually tested out any of these other report options to date, but for the most part, basically, you're going to be looking at the blank report. There's not really a way of linking for like a custom invoice or anything at this time. When you choose your report template, it's going to ask you basically where you want that to be saved, your computer or a report server. I'm going to recommend you choose the computer, and you're going to click that browse button, and then it's going to basically come up and ask you what do you want the file to be called and where do you want it to be saved. Now, I've got a couple here that I've been playing around with. We're just going to save this one as report 2. Like I said, today I'm not going to be focusing too much on the creation of a report. What I just want to make sure is grasped is how to connect the report designer to your AIM-SI system, and to think about how you're going to choose a table. Dennis, who had inquired earlier because he wasn't going to be out, or he wasn't going to be able to attend today's session, but he was wondering about how to be able to choose multiple tables. And while there's not a way of choosing multiple tables directly, and I am going to go into an explanation of what that means, I am going to give some pointers on to think about how you might want to choose what you want to report on. So when you select your report name, you can see I've actually got both report 1 and report 2 open here. Just to keep things simple, I'm going to close report 1, so we're looking at just report 2. When you are building your report, the first thing first is to connect your database. And you would go up to this data tab where you've got these options. You're going to choose this option for open access data source. You could also click the SQL data source. Now, this is a little pro tip. Before I get too off track, we're actually going to switch back to the AIM SI screen. I want to show you something that you may not have been aware is actually happening right now in these past few weeks and months. We're going to go back to AIM SI. Excuse me. Now, if you go to Help and AIM SI Help, and actually I have this open already too, but just so you're aware how to get there, Help and AIM SI Help. Now, this is our online help utility. I'm going to switch to this, which normally what this will do is this would open up a web page. I'm just going to switch over to this. So here's our AIM SI Help. Now, we have been really prioritizing. I know some of you are going to be really happy to hear this. We've been really prioritizing getting our manual up to date. We've been focusing very heavily on getting a lot of software menus up and running as far as like a layout of what the different fields represent and things of that nature. But even more to the point of today's webinar, over here on the table of contents, if we take a look at this chapter called Miscellany. Within that chapter is a section on designing a custom report. And when you click on that, this is going to be kind of a step-by-step walkthrough of what we're about to talk about right now, how to design a custom report using the Telerik Report Designer. So it's going to start off with how to go through, how to create your first report, how to connect your database, and then some basic concepts of how to lay out the report. But like I said, we're going to go through this so you don't have to really worry too much about reading that, but I wanted to make sure everyone saw where that is so that you can check that out in your own time. So let's go ahead and switch back to the Report Designer. So when you're connecting your database, like I said, you can go to either the SQL data source or the open access data source. The document that I just referenced mentions going to the open access data source. I've already got my database connected, but just so you can kind of get an idea of what this would look like. When you click on this, it's going to ask you to either choose an existing connection or to click new connection. Now you're going to choose new connection when you first get started, but after you've connected it for the first time, you'd be able to basically just go ahead and select it from this drop-down menu. Now, when you click New Connection, it's going to pop up this next window here, and it's going to ask you to choose your server name. Now, on our local network here, we've got a whole bunch of different servers on our in-house network here at TriTech for testing purposes, all different kinds of things. But yours is probably going to be something along the lines of like your store name / AIM SQL or whatever your server name might be. You're going to want to make sure you choose the SQL Server authentication. If you're using our default username and password, which if you had us help you out with an install consult of the AIM software, these would be default entries for SA, and then the password would be admin with the A in capitals $12. Now, if you've installed this yourself, hopefully you have a record of what your SQL Server username and password are. You're then going to come down where it says connect to a database, and you're going to choose or select the database name. Again, I have several different databases in my system. I'm going to choose the one that says AIM SI. Hopefully you'll have one that says that as well. And then just to make sure it's going to be able to communicate, you're going to click this test connection button, and hopefully it will come up and say test connection succeeded. Then once you say okay with that, basically it's going to then show up there for you to select. You're going to say next, and then we're going to go ahead and save this with AIM SI webinar, if I could spell webinar correctly. And then it's going to ask you to choose basically the database that you want to choose. Now, actually, that is not what I expected, probably because I have, again, already a test copy here to connect with. So I'm actually going to cancel that wizard. I am going to switch back to just the SQL data source. I'm going to go with my local AIM SI here, and I'm going to use that as a shared connection. We're going to click this query builder. And basically what this is going to do, and this would basically be the same thing that you would see when you're going through that other process as well. Like I said, I've already got this built. But on this left-hand side here where it says database view, and you can see there's this little folder here. When you click on the little plus next to it, this is going to be a master listing of all of the tables that are in AIM SI for you to select from. Now, for those of you who are, let's say, veterans of AIM SI, coming from prior versions, and maybe you've experimented with the original report wizard that we had in prior versions, as honestly horrible as it was, you probably have some familiarity with the table structure that we have. And basically every one of these is a table, and within every table are a number of fields which can contain data. So just kind of scrolling down here to an example table, I'm going to go down to this SC Cust table. If I click on that, the little plus next to it, you can see there's all these fields within it for things like last name, attention field, name field, address 1, address 2. Now, if you're not able to read this in the same way that I am, because this is basically program speak, not a big deal. I want to show you another resource that you have available to you back through the AIM SI help website. So let's switch back to that. I'm going to go ahead and change my screen view so that we're back to that AIM SI help web page. So back here on that page that I was just mentioning, where you can go to the contents, miscellany, and design a custom report. If we go back up to the top here, there's going to be this little link here where it says, did you know? And it says, TriTech has created a data dictionary as a reference for the tables and fields that AIM SI uses behind the scenes to populate these windows and reports. We've made this information available to you to review here, and you're going to click the little here link. This will open up a special section of our website that you can access through that link. This is basically a data repository. Now, the idea behind this is the replacement for the old school data dictionary Excel spreadsheet that we had, again, for you veterans of AIM-SI version 11 and older. What you can do is you can use this table over here to the left to basically browse through what these fields represent. I'm going to actually make this a little bit bigger. You don't, again, have to worry about kind of learning program speak. What you will want to do, and what I heavily recommend, is to use this search bar up at the top for what it is that you're looking for. So in my example of looking up customers, if I start typing in customers, what this is going to do is this is going to drill down and show you just the tables that we have identified as being customer related. Now you can see that some of these have some plain English descriptions in them. For example, this first table here, SC attribute, this is your customer and inventory attribute list. A couple below that, SC CUSEML is the customer email addresses. Below that is customer memberships. You get the idea. So some of them do not yet have plain English interpretations. So for example, this SCCUST, MRPT, some of these are going to be more in depth. They're not going to be as relevant for generating a report in the report designer. So that being said, this is a work in progress, just like our online manual. So odds are quite high that each time you come back and reference this, we're going to have gone in and added some more plain English descriptions for this. So for example, if we click on this customer list, you can see that over here to the right, it's going to basically open up kind of a snapshot of what these different fields are. Now, again, we're basically filling in some additional information where we have had the time to do that. So for example, this listing here for this field here for the CDFFK, that's actually referencing out the link to the customer defaults information. So basically just explore this and kind of think about what it is that you want to actually report on. What data do you want to pull into the report designer for reporting on? Now, getting back to which table do you want to choose? Because technically you can only choose one table at a time with the report designer, but there's a little bit of strategy involved with that. So for example, if I wanted to pull in this SCCUST, I'd only have the information contained within this customer table. But that being said, if there are relations from this table to other tables, you can see if I scroll down further, there's a relations listing. So not only can I pull in information related to the customers directly, but I could also pull in information from these other related tables as well. So for example, the appointment instructor table, the categories table, the customer defaults table, the store location table. Basically, this is where you can kind of think about what it is that you want to target as far as your table. Another really common one that actually is unique to version 12. So if you're coming from version 11, you're probably not going to be familiar with this, but there is actually a new table in version 12 called transaction table, the main transaction table. So if your objective for the report designer is to create your own custom report that helps you to search out specific information related to your transactions, rather than looking for a table such as the invoice table or the sold inventory table or the items that were sold, look at the main transaction table. Because like I mentioned, if we think of the data as a hierarchy, the higher up you are in the hierarchy and the more tables that can actually reference from that master table, the more information you'll have at your fingertips to be able to pull into the report designer. So if we take a look at the main transaction table, you can see there's not a whole lot here as far as the individual fields themselves, but there's a whole heck of a lot of relations that you could pull in. So you could pull in information from customers, you could pull in information from contracts, from students, from your tax information tables, your vendor information, your workstations. All these different tables would then be available to you from the main transaction table if that is the table that you select as your top level table. So if we had selected, for example, SC Cust as our main table, that's great. We could still access the tables kind of from there, but we wouldn't be able to jump back to this main transaction table and all of the other tables that it connects to. So that's kind of the idea that I wanted to make sure came across here in today's webinar. Apart from that, if we go back to AIM SI, or rather the report designer, so let me go ahead and switch back to that. So let's go ahead and let's select that SC trans, which is what that main table was. So we'll basically go down on this listing and we will find that table here. There it is. So basically we'll go ahead and we'll check mark that. We can see basically all these selected fields there. The idea here is basically you'd go ahead and you'd select which tables you want to pull in from, or what fields you want to pull in from the table. Let's just go ahead and say okay, and then it's going to say okay. Basically, these are all the different fields. We'll go ahead and we'll say next on that. Let's see, you're not seeing my screen. Why are you not seeing my screen? There we go. Let me actually back up so that you can see what I was talking about. So we'll use the shared connection. We're gonna hit the query builder again. We're gonna go ahead and select that SC trans. So basically what I was just saying was you come down here and you select that. That'll automatically check mark all of those fields. And then we'll just say okay. That'll then show the select statement, if you will, that the table or the designer is gonna pull in. We'll say next to that, and then we'll basically say execute query. There's all the data. We'll finish, and then back here in the report designer over here on the right, let me see if I can grab my little highlighter tool. Over here in this data explorer, these are basically the fields that you could then pull in and place wherever you want that data to go. So that's kind of the idea behind the report designer. Warren is saying that the older versions of AIM SI would not let you pull certain tables and create a true custom report. Is that now possible with V12 and the SQL database? Now, I have been told that yes, this is possible. The report designer that you see here is actually a fully functioning report designer that could be available third party, and it can generate all kinds of calculation reports. It can do graphs and tables and pie charts and all different kinds of fun things. I, again, have not really had the opportunity to explore much of that. And again, I'll be the first to come out and say that I am not a designer by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, let me redact that. My wife will tell you that I am not by any means a designer because, that's another story altogether. Let's just say that she's in charge of the home decor. Nevertheless, basically the idea here is that whatever data you want to pull into AIM SI, as long as you've selected the highest hierarchy of table, you can then kind of draw from that. And let me go ahead and get rid of my little highlighter here. The idea then is basically you could kind of pull in whatever it is that you want to pull in. Let's go ahead and say, for example, the date time. You can basically click and drag it over to wherever you want it to show on the report. So then that basically would then go ahead and say that the date time of the transaction in particular is going to kind of show a little bit down and to the left with these kind of margins around it of the data. And of course, we can make that bigger or smaller, however big or small you want it to basically lay out on the report itself. So that's just a real basic idea of getting your feet wet, so to speak, with the report designer. Like I said, what I really wanted to encourage today is just to kind of get the wheels turning of thinking about what kinds of reports you might like to generate with the Report Designer. We've really gone to a lot of lengths to make sure that all the relevant reports that most businesses would need are just available right through the basic report catalog of AIM SI, but we obviously realize that there is a need for just that one or two little niche functions that every business might have a need for. So that was going to be the original goal with the Report Wizard of old. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out the way we anticipated. Hopefully with this new Report Designer, some of you more creative folks out there can really explore the boundaries of what's capable and what's possible with AIM SI SQL. So if there's any questions as far as how to connect that database or how to pull in those tables or where to find these details, again, definitely let me know in the questions box. Like I said, my idea is to reconvene on Thursday, and we'll explore some ideas of basic layout. Maybe we'll build a report or two in that time frame, and that way, hopefully with some examples that you can provide to me of what you're looking to do with the report, we can really share that knowledge and get you all going in the right direction as far as the report designer here in AIM SI. So Warren has a follow-up question. Can we create a report that shows transactions broken down by payment type, which excludes the idea of a split tender? I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. Now, that being said, there is a list out payments report in the miscellaneous menu of AIM SI's reports menu. So if you weren't aware of that, Warren, you can definitely check that one out. Yeah, I don't foresee any reason why, as long as the data is there, you should be able to go ahead and generate a report. So definitely shoot me some emails with some report ideas, and we can explore those together on Thursday. Catherine has a question. Can we take an AIM SI report and modify, or do we have to build from scratch? Unfortunately, you will have to build from scratch. There's really not a way at this time of pulling in an existing canned report from AIM SI and kind of tweaking it with the report designer. But yeah, you can definitely build any reports that you want with this report designer. Again, to my knowledge, that is going to be subject to examination by the masses at large here in attendance today, as well as everyone that's using AIM SI version 12. But like I said, as far as what I've seen, the sky's basically the limit as far as what is possible. And it's also quite possible that the report designer itself can actually access more than one table. Everything that I've seen is that it is limited to one, but I've also been checking out some of the all of the information on the report designer that's just available on the internet at large through the likes of YouTube and various blogs and the Telerik corporations themselves. And I distinctly remember someone who was kind of giving a presentation on it, saying that it is possible to do more than one table, but I did not have an opportunity to actually explore that right then and there at that time. So we will definitely check this all out together on Thursday. And like I said, definitely shoot me an email with your potential report ideas. Again, training, just like it sounds, just one word, training, TRAINING, at technology, the number 4, retailers.com. And try and get those suggestions to me by midday tomorrow, if at all possible. Actually, even more preferable would be by the end of the day today. If at all possible, let me know not only specifically what you want the report to kind of report on, if you will, but then also what information you would like it to display on the report, how you would like it to be filtered. These are all different things when it comes to the design of a report that are going to be very important in its execution. So if at all possible, let me know those details. If you have any other questions relating to the report designer, you can definitely shoot me an email there as well. And we will like I said, explore things together on Thursday. Andrea is asking if the report designer has an option to import the report wizard. That is an excellent question, Andrea. I'm not sure if it can, because the report wizard was kind of its own beast, if you will. I don't know if the report designer would be able to read the parameters from the report wizard of old. I will look into that and let you know if I find anything on that. You're saying that there is a button for it listed, so I'll check into that and get back to you on that. I haven't actually had a chance to explore that specifically myself. I haven't actually built a report in the report wizard in at least 2 years. So I'm not sure if I have any to be able to import. So I might have to explore that a little bit more in depth there for you, but I'll be happy to do so. If there's any other questions, definitely let me know. Like I said, today I just wanted to make sure it kind of made sense as far as what we were doing as far as kind of like some initial setup with the report designer. Are there more recorded V12 webinars? Catherine asks. Yes, definitely. If this is your first one that you've attended, welcome. In the email that you will get that has a link to this recording, that same link will take you to all the other recordings that are available as well. And you can definitely check those out at your leisure. I will just see if there's any other questions that come in. Otherwise, we will go ahead and convene for today, and then we will get back together on Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time, and we'll explore some sample reports. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone submitting any more questions, so I think we'll go ahead. Like I said, we'll go ahead and call it a session for today, and we will check in on Thursday. So if you haven't registered, I think most everyone here has registered for Thursdays as well, but if you haven't, definitely make sure to do so. I don't want you to miss out on what we'll be talking about on Thursday. Even if you don't register for it, of course, that same link from today's webinar will get you the access to the recording for Thursday's webinar. But if it's at all possible, I encourage everyone to attend it live so that if you do have any specific questions that you'd like to ask, you have that opportunity to do so. So thanks everyone for attending today's session of TriTech University. I am planning a few more webinars yet for this month. I've kind of gone back to a Tuesday, Thursday format after a few months off just because of craziness with the schedule. So look for a webinar 2 weeks from now on the 23rd as well as the 25th. On the 25th, I'm probably going to have to do it in the morning time. So instead of it being 1 p.m., it'll probably be 11 a.m. Central Time. I don't yet have the topics picked out for those webinars, but definitely keep an eye on your email boxes as well as our social media feeds for more info on that, probably by the end of this week, definitely by beginning of next. And if you are in the music industry and you'll be attending the Summer NAMM show in Nashville, I will be there next week as well. So be sure to stop by and say hi. We'd love to meet you and see how things are going. So thanks everyone, have a great day, and we'll see you on Thursday.